All right. Right. Well, thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to join Governor Mills's opioid response webinar series. I hope you all fared well in yesterday's storm. We're definitely thinking of our communities, our friends, our colleagues, and our loved ones who are without power today, as well as those that are on the front line for restoration efforts. We do have two topics today that we're really excited about, the Recovery Friendly Workplace Initiative in Maine and then Maine Department of Labor's QUEST program. So we'll get into that in just a minute. I'm Madison Barassa. I'm one of the SUD program managers here at the Office of Behavioral Health, working closely with Gordon Smith, who's the Director of Opioid Response. I'm joined today by Catherine Kutu, who is the SUD Division Manager at the Office of Behavioral Health, as well as the State Opioid Treatment Authority, and will be your moderators for today. Gordon sends his appreciation for you all being here and will join us at the next webinar series. Just want to take a couple of minutes to note some events that we have coming up. Of course, the next webinar series will be held on May 3rd from 11:30 to 12:30. Keep an eye out for the registration notice from AdCare to learn more about what that topic will be in May. We are also very excited to announce that Governor Mills will host her 6th annual Opioid Response Summit on July 25th of this year. It will be held at the beautiful Central Maine Community College campus in Auburn. The focus this year will be creating a brighter future for individuals, families, and communities. Registration has not opened quite yet, but just make sure to keep an eye out for that coming soon. If you have any questions today during the presentation, please put those questions in the question and answer box, so that Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. The chat is open, but won't be monitored for any questions at this point. We will get to as many of the questions as we possibly can today. And if we don't get to all of them, as always, AdCare posts those questions and answers on the website in the upcoming weeks, along with the materials that are presented in today's webinar. So everyone will have a chance to access those in the upcoming weeks after. I'm joined today by some really wonderful folks that I'm excited to introduce you all to. First, we'll hear from Catherine Rawson and Molly Louison-Semrow on Maine's Recovery Friendly Workplace Initiative. Catherine assumed the role of the statewide business advisor for Maine's Recovery Friendly Workplace program in October of 2023. In this capacity, she oversees the orientation and onboarding processes for organizations interested in joining the initiative. Catherine is certified as an associate professional in human resources, and her career path has been deeply influenced by a personal desire to destigmatize substance use disorder, support recovery, and cultivate healthy cultures within workplaces. And Molly is the Associate Director of Pinetree Institute. Molly provides facilitation and leadership for the Greater Portsmouth Recovery Coalition, the Developing York County Recovery Coalition, and Maine's Recovery Friendly Workplace Initiative. Molly has been leading multidisciplinary community coalitions for the last 8 years and has worked in nonprofit social services for 11 years. Molly's career has centered on incorporating trauma-informed best practices into community response to pervasive social issues such as substance use disorder, family trauma, and adverse childhood experiences. Then we'll hear from Tarlin Ahmadov. Tarlin is the Director of the Division of Programs at the Bureau of Employment Services, Maine Department of Labor. Previously, Tarlin was overseeing the Office of Maine Refugee Services as the State Refugee Coordinator. Prior to his immigration to the USA, Tarlin worked in the education field in Baku, Azerbaijan, and later joined the nonprofit sector, combined with consulting business to the Consult of Azerbaijan and Tehran, Iran. Tarlin had the privilege to work in various capacities with local and international NGOs. He graduated from the Baku State University with a master's in history and social services. He's the father of 2 children. Tarlin speaks several languages. One of his passions is traveling. During the last 2 decades, he has visited over 45 countries for business, training, and teaching purposes. So again, some really wonderful folks that have joined us here today, and I'm going to pass it over to Molly.
Thank you so much, Madison. Again, my name is Molly Louison-Semrow. I'm the Associate Director of Pinetree Institute. Along with the Portland Recovery Community Center, we are the holders of the Maine Recovery Friendly Workplace Initiative. So we are going to start, our piece today is really just an update on how things have been going. But we are going to go ahead and get started with a little bit of a recap, and then we'll talk about where we're at now. So as you can see, RFW is administered in partnership between Pinetree Institute and PRCC. So just a quick background on us, and there's a lot more that can be said, but just to keep things brief. So the Recovery Friendly Workplace Initiative originated in New Hampshire. It was launched by Governor Sununu with a goal of empowering businesses to support individuals impacted by substance use disorder. It has grown significantly. We now see RFW initiatives in 35 states and 1 Canadian province. And RFW is now actually housed on a national platform through the Department of Labor's Recovery Friendly Workplace Hub. So we've seen some significant growth. And this was an initiative really championed by businesses, by employers who wanted to shift their own culture, who wanted to create a more supportive environment for their employees. So we know that national data shows that about 70% rather of all adults with substance use disorder are employed, working, meaning that the workplace we know is a really crucial setting for this issue. More locally, a Maine CDC study that was conducted in 2022 found that 50% of Maine employees were using substances weekly. And on the recovery side, some workplaces in that same study reported that they had as many as 66% of their employees in recovery. So this program is really about supporting individuals across that spectrum, and not just individuals, but really the entire culture of the company, individuals, their loved ones, anyone who is impacted. What this program offers. So first and foremost, we offer what we call a tailored engagement model. We recognize that businesses are all different sizes, have very different resources, and have different licensing and regulatory concerns. So there is absolutely no one-size-fits-all recovery-friendly workplace model for every business. That's why we begin by meeting with each business one-on-one to assess their needs, assess their resources, and talk to them about how we can empower them to support their staff. RFW looks really different for each employer. We can recommend sort of a full spectrum of supports and solutions, and we're confident that we can find ones that fit the needs of businesses large and small, and of folks with any degree of resources. The ultimate goal for all RFWs is to increase the level of employee support and to support culture change towards really meaningful employee wellness. And large and small initiatives of all kinds can help accomplish that. We also offer connection with statewide and local resources. So we work to connect employers with their local resources, such as recovery community organizations nearby them, local treatment providers and advocacy groups in their areas. And this also now includes the national resources that we mentioned prior. Support-wise, we work with each business and their resources to give them many options for how they can increase support for their staff's family. And we offer trainings. So the core sort of beginning engagement with RFW involves a core group of trainings, which we'll talk about in the next slide. But beyond those core trainings, we're able to offer flexible in-house trainings and links to national and regional trainings on issues relating to substance use disorder and its impact in the workplace. We also have a network of community and state partners. So the more we grow, the more RFW is a community. The more businesses that become designated, the more we have a cohort of peer employers that are working towards the same culture change, which creates really valuable community. Tools and materials for management. So this could be anything from sample policies to conversations and coaching on how you might approach this with a staff member, really real world skills, lessons from our own lived experience on the RFW team. We also provide our main RFW toolkit to each established designated RFW, and that toolkit is full of materials that can be helpful in implementing your company's recovery-friendly workplace. Ongoing support is another hallmark of what we offer. So your business advisor and your recovery advisor are able to stay with your company. And that means that we are always a resource to tap into and ask questions to. The RFW training modules. So we have we have 4 core modules that every RFW is trained in once they go through the process that Catherine will talk about, that initial process. But we start with Substance Use Disorder 101. And this training is going to be sort of general information, everything from prevalence data about Maine and nationally about substance use disorder, and also just what the clinical criteria are. What do we mean when we say substance use disorder? We talk about adverse childhood experiences, protective factors, and warning signs. So we talk about some of the potential roots and how trauma intersects with substance use disorder. We also talked about stigma and person-centered language, how the power of the language that we use talking about our staff and talking about substance use disorder can really change their experience. And then we give actionable tips, really actionable strategies for working with coworkers and their loved ones. In module 2, that is opioid overdose response. So that is an overview of naloxone, the signs of an opioid-related emergency so that employers can respond to that. We review strategies and protocols to address overdose. And then we talk about how to create a workplace that in general is going to prioritize safety and well-being. Module 3 is Recovery 101. That's where we talk about the principles and pathways towards recovery, how that system of care in recovery absolutely includes employers. We explain common principles of successful recovery and the many domains of it, knowing that recovery is personal, social, and community-based as well. And we also talk a lot in that module about employee self-care, mental health, and wellness. In our 4th core module, we're going to talk specifically about the recovery-friendly workplace. So we'll discuss existing protocols for addressing substance use disorder, work through those with you, talk about steps towards becoming also a trauma-informed workplace. We'll talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which includes fair chance hiring practices. And we'll also talk about how businesses can put new learning through these modules into action and into sustainable action. So we want to create something that your business can take with and subsume into their culture change rather than just a couple one-off policies. Here's just a look at some of our pre and post training survey results. So for every group that goes through our training, we give them an initial pre-survey and we survey them again at the end. This is a metric we think is really important because stigma in language is such an important part of what we talk about. So you can see in the pre-training survey results, we had a much wider spread of the question, I believe substance abuser is an appropriate term. And in our post results, we have had that shifted a lot in the direction of disagree. And so that comes from a lot of our conversations about stigma and how do we talk about folks. Similarly, we ask about risk factors. So in our pre-test, we found that it really kind of along the middle there, a good amount of people, or most of the people surveyed, rated about a 3 for their ability to identify those risk factors. And in our post-training survey, the vast majority of people strongly agreed that they could identify 3 risk factors associated with developing a substance use disorder. And I will pass it over to Catherine.
Thank you, Molly. Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining us. We're really excited. I know we were here on the webinar back in December talking about our program launch, and we're really happy to now have 20 businesses in Maine officially designated. We have many more in process, well over a dozen, and many more that have also just expressed interest and excitement about this initiative. There is no business, as Molly mentioned, too large or too small. We're really happy to help out everyone from the mom and pop shop, the local business with one location, to a corporate structure that has locations across the state, from a variety of industries and sectors as well. As Molly mentioned as well, there is no one size fits all. So we're really happy that for each of the individual businesses that have reached out or are already designated, we're really looking to adapt and meet their individual needs, no matter what resources they may already have or don't have in place. We know that Maine is a really vast state with a variety of different communities and resources. So we're happy to reach out and come to you or meet virtually as needed. So we're celebrating these businesses today that are engaged and have been officially designated through our Maine RFW program. The recovery-friendly workplace designation process, we really wanted to make this low barrier. We know that folks are busy and time is money. So just getting started, we have a letter of interest that is on our website, www.rfwmaine.org, which we'll have on the next slide. So that's a Google form that you can submit to let us know that you're interested and wanting to learn more and have a meeting. In that orientation meeting, we do a full overview of the Recovery Friendly Workplace program, what that looks like and what that would mean for your business. Really an informational session to get to know your business and organization as well. Maybe your current resources or things that you have in place for employees, or what you really need to find out what the needs are and how we can help and assist and support you. That orientation meeting as well can be expanded upon. Ideally, we want to meet with business leaders, owners, executives, human resources, folks that really have a good knowledge of the workplace and what's going on across the business. And after that, we're happy to come back in and meet with management, supervisors, further members of the team to really inform them and let them know what recovery-friendly workplace means. After that, you would send out an internal declaration. That is a statement just announcing to your staff and employees that you're engaged in this process and what that means for your workplace. So we have a sample statement. We're happy to help you craft one that works for you. But we find that many businesses really make this their own, and it aligns with perhaps some current initiatives that they're already engaged in. After that goes out, you would be officially designated by the state program. And from there, we, of course, would share information and resources, the toolkit like Molly mentioned, other materials that may be helpful for your business. Those 4 core training modules, again, as Molly mentioned, we're happy to do those in person or via Zoom as well, or hybrid. Again, whatever really works best for your business needs, and connection to the local recovery community centers. Additional benefits down the line, we are hoping to have a statewide community of practice. We're really looking forward to getting that going. That would be a place of connection, really putting out there what has or hasn't worked for your businesses, what needs you still have, local resources or things that have been helpful in your own community. So a great place to network. Same thing with community-based activities, looking for recovery-friendly workplace activities, job fairs, networking, and celebration events to really raise the awareness and celebrate our RFWs. And supplemental trainings, so those could be offered virtually as needed, panel discussions, resource discussions, having speakers come in and talk about specific topics like trauma-informed workplaces, psychological safety, human resources, and employment law as it relates to recovery and substance use disorder. So we're really looking forward to those down the line. Again, our website is rfwmaine.org. You can always contact us, info@rfwmaine.org. And on our website, it is fully launched now. We do have much more information as well as that letters of interest form that I mentioned. If you go ahead and submit that, you'll hear back from one of us and we'll get that process started for your business. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Molly and Catherine. Just for folks that are joined us, the Q&A is still open for Molly and for Catherine. So if you do have any questions that are lingering as you're hearing Tarlin's presentation, please still put those in the chat and we'll do a Q&A round at the end. But we'll pass it over to Tarlin.
Good morning, everyone. Just give me 1 second. I am going to share my session. Okay. So everyone seeing?
Looks great.
Okay. So as I was presented as Tarlan Amadov, I work at the Department of Labor, overseeing the Division of Programs at the Bureau of Employment Services. So Quest grant, one of the grant that we have been working and applied about 2 years ago, which stands for Quality Jobs, Equity, Strategy, and Trainings. So this is the uniqueness of this program. It is a part of the VIOVA grants, and it was specifically related to support individuals who have been adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic to return to and advance in good jobs, which is for us good jobs under the TIGL. It is USDOL specific regulations stating that the good jobs is pay at least 235 of the federal poverty level and provided at least 30 hours a week of paid employment, have transparent and non-discriminatory hiring practices and clear paths for professional development and advancement, provide access to employer-provided benefits, including healthcare, paid vacation, and sick leave, prioritize worker health and safety, and are in companies and organizations that supports workers' rights and offer workers a voice in the workplace. All workers are respected, empowered, and treated fairly. Diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility is a core value and practices norm in this workplace. So we identified as 3 industries that needs to grow, and it's infrastructure, environment and climate, green energy, and care economy. So to be eligible for this and participate in this program, which is actually going through all our workforce boards and their providers, individuals should temporarily or permanently laid off as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic, which may include individuals who were let go or left employment because of the pandemic and who have not returned to good jobs. It's long-term unemployed individuals, which for the Quest grant include individuals who want to work and meet one of the following: have been without employment for 15 consecutive and non-consecutive weeks in the last 52 weeks, have never worked or have never worked in the United States but are authorized to, dislocated workers as defined as VIOVA Section 315, displaced homework makers as defined in VIOVA Section 316, self-employed individuals who are unemployed or significantly underemployed at the time of eligibility determination, and significantly underemployed individuals at time of eligibility determination. So I will explain more on that going forward. So as we're just saying that, I just said about good jobs, it's like the person must be paid at least 235 of the federal poverty level, or 17.02 per hour as of January 1, 2024. These numbers are changing every year, and provide at least 30 hours a week of paid employment, have transparent and non-discriminatory hiring practices and clear paths for professional development and advancement, provide access to employer-provided benefits, including healthcare, paid vacation, and sick leave, prioritize worker health and safety, and are in companies and organizations that support workers' rights and offer workers a voice in the workplace. All workers are respected, empowered, and treated fairly. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility is a core value and practice norm in the workplace. That's like a pillar for us, and we are working on to make sure that all of our participants are gaining these jobs. So long-term unemployed individuals, which is how we determining, it's have been without employment for 15 consecutive or non-consecutive weeks in the last 52 weeks, have never worked or have never worked in the United States, but are authorized to. Dislocated workers are essentially anyone who has been laid off through no fault of their own. Displaced homemakers as defined by VIOVA, Section 316, is someone who has been providing unpaid services to family members in the home, but is no longer being supported by that person. This individual is dependent on income from another family member or is experiencing difficulty finding a job. So significantly underemployed individuals at time of eligibility determination for being a part of the Quest grant. It's a person who is underemployed, having part-time, employed for less than 30 hours per week, employed in a position that inadequately with respect for skills, experience, and training. Those whose current earnings are less than 85% of previous earnings. For example, we give here like a 40 hours, $20 per hour, and it's 85% of this will be $680. So it's exactly we are determining when people are not making money, like they're underemployed, and we need to help them to employ it in the good jobs. So most important things, if one of these is box checked, this makes people and individuals eligible for the services. So the really interesting stuff that we just as unique for this specific program, this possibility of enrolling, it's based on the self-attestation. So the person self-attesting and answering these questions, and if one of these question answered and it's a positive for determination, the person will be part of this program. So the Quest grant, if you look at this in a bigger picture, it's a 2-year dislocated worker grant. It started September 22, and it's for 2 years grant, but we are possibly extending this to the September 2025. We received over $7 million for this specific grant, and that grant has been disseminated between 3 different regions, our coastal region, our central Maine, and northern eastern Maine workforce boards. We are focusing on good jobs, and total participants goal and objective in this grant, 778 people. To date, we have 469 people enrolled in the program, and more is enrolling across all the state. So we will serve people with low-wage workers, racial and ethnic minorities, individuals in recovery from substance abuse disorder, women with dependent care challenges, individuals with disabilities, immigrants and refugees, young adult ages 20-24, people without a high school diploma or GED, justice involved, or individuals who will be released in the next 12 months, individuals from historically marginalized communities. So our key activities of this grant, as I mentioned, we outsourced that grant from the Department of Labor to workforce boards, and they're providing the service through their oil providers statewide. So developing and expanding partnership with organizations that serve, train, and hire individuals from underserved and marginalized communities most impacted by the pandemic. Expanding partnership with businesses and industries hiring workers into high demand, high quality, and good jobs. Ensuring worker voice be getting input from the and partnering with dislocated workers, individual workers, labor unions, labor management partnership, and other relevant organizations. Conducting community outreach campaigns in culturally and linguistically appropriate ways. Improving the transparency of career paths and promotional opportunities in targeted industries. Developing work-based learning opportunities, including on-the-job training connections to registered apprenticeship, providing career training and support services, promote successful completion of workforce services, and launch worker into long-term employer-supported training opportunities associated with economic mobility. So I will skip these questions. The next slide is talking about how we are served and who is a provider. So through our workforce solution, which is part of the coastal counties, and this is their information. Anyone can apply and send to intake@workforcesolution.org any questions or referrals. At Eastern Maine Development Corporation, which is overseeing our several counties in central Maine and more northern, and then Aroostook County Action Program overseeing Aroostook County residents. So this is all available through our site, and also we shared here. So making sure everyone have ability to apply for this Quest grant. So the next slides are going to talk about how we are internally also connecting all other resources that is helping people on our people who is in a Quest grant. They are eligible for other programs, and we are co-enrolling them in several programs to maximum utilization of the services and resources. So one of them is Maine Apprenticeship Program, which is Maine Apprenticeship Program staff work with businesses to create, developed, customized, registered apprenticeship program to train and prepare their current and future workforce to meet business needs through a structured training program that leads to career advancement, higher wages, and nationally recognized certificate. Registered apprentices are employees who earn while they learn, receive progressive wage increases, classroom instruction, and mentored, structured on-the-job learning. There are currently 1,333 active apprentices working for 447 Maine employers in 180 different occupations. Apprentices are a minimum of 16 years old, while the average age of the apprentices in Maine is 29-31 years. Certified Pre-Apprentices Program, established in June 2023, last year, articulate to and prepare individuals for successful entry into registered apprenticeship programs are typically less than 6 months in length and can be paid or unpaid. Since June 2023, MAP has certified 38 pre-apprenticeship programs and trained 583 pre-apprentices, including many currently or formerly incarcerated individuals. So many of the Quest grant recipients are also connected with Maine Apprenticeship Program. The next slide talks about our Job for Veterans State Grant, which is also under my division. The Jobs for Veterans State Grant, or JVSG, is a federal formula grant that funds staffing for veterans representatives at the Maine Department of Labor. These veterans representatives specialize in veteran employment support by first working with eligible veterans and spouses to ensure employment readiness and advocating with area business looking to hire. The goal of the JVSG program is to identify, assist, and place eligible veterans and spouses into meaningful and sustained employment. This could mean aiding a veteran to obtain short-term employment while pursuing a higher career goals or education, aiding with upskills, allowing increased opportunities for career upgrades, and directing veterans to alternative services and support to help eliminate significant barriers to employment. Veterans representatives work with justice-involved veterans needing release, as well as those that may have recovery challenges. Recently incarcerated veterans or those needing release are those meeting one of the significant barriers to employment criteria. Of course, justice-involved veterans or those with recovery challenges do present a challenge when placing in employment. However, veterans representatives work closely with second chance employers to advocate for hiring. We also refer veterans to Quest grant, and they are co-enrolling people and to succeed the goals. So we also have a competitive skills scholarship program. Maybe you may have heard about it. It is also state program, provides lower income individuals who lack of marketable degree or certification the opportunity to access post-secondary education, including associate degrees, bachelor degrees, or industry recognized certification that leads to employment in high wage, in demand jobs. Collaborating with various partners, including Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOVA, providers SNAP employment and training, higher opportunity for pathway to employment, HOPE, and other is often essential for the participants to finish with minimal financial strain and greatest chance to achieving their final goal. CSSP assists individuals in re-entry and recovery who are interested in obtaining credentials in a high wage, in demand occupation. The support provided by CSSP can assist with the cost of tuition, books, and fees that are not paid by other sources such as federal financial aid. CSSP provides supports beyond tuition, which may include transportation, reimbursement assistance with auto repair costs, and for full-time students meeting household income requirements, a monthly stipend, and also childcare and so other supportive services. So the next one is our reemployment services and eligibility assessment. The RECIP program is also a welcome committee to clients who are unemployed and shows them how our career centers can be utilized. Clients are taken through an individualized one-on-one session to ensure they are aware of the resources available to them. Our goals are to help clients get back to work or in training program as soon as possible. When speaking with the client during a session, if they indicate a criminal history, such as felonies, we provide all the resources available to them about employers who are felony friendly in their area, so talk about training programs to help them get past these obstacles. So overall, all of our programs are supporting to each other. I will stop sharing here. And we always open for any referrals and helping people and our Mainers with second chance, helping them to get the trainings and get the certificate, get this appropriate education and skills to get good jobs, as I just mentioned. And Quest is open for all referrals. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tarlan. We did have a couple of questions that came in. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at those during the presentation, but Jan had asked if there was any specific programs for people who have recently been released from incarceration. I know you had talked about some of those justice-involved programs, the MAP program, but just wanted to see if you had anything additional to add.
So there is, as you know, progressive employment, Machias, Bangor, Machias and Bangor, they provide services. It's also a part of our overall services that we provide. So if you guys would like to follow up on that with me directly, I can give my emails and we can appropriately refer people to these programs. But again, through our workforce boards and their providers, which I named here, you can refer people and they can help them to also navigate all these resources and programs in the regions. What's the second question?
So the second question that came in is if is there a way for an employer to work with Quest as a part of the recruitment work to find people who have undergone this program to hire?
I think, yeah, I believe this is a possibility. So first of all, through our VIOVA providers like Workforce Solution here in coastal counties, so EMDC in the central Maine and northern Maine, and also Aroostook, it is ACAP. So this is all three organizations are providing support to the Quest grantees, but also very well connected with the business. If businesses really need something and connect with them and for hiring and so on, that will be one of these possibilities. Second, our own Maine Department of Labor career centers. We also have our business outreach team that work very closely with all this infrastructure. So we are ready, and we have the manager who is working with all the businesses, overseeing the business outreach through the state.
Thank you. We have Aaron had just put in the Q&A as well, recently released people who would be eligible for Quest and adult programming boards would love to work with businesses. So just gonna.
So Erin is one of the workforce board directors.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so she can be. If Erin, you can put your email so they can also send you if needed. But the EMDC, this is the provider. So Erin, they are Erin's the sub-recipients of the funding.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, and I see that Erin just put her email in the Q&A as well. I'll copy that and put it into the chat for folks.
And also one of my member of my team, Mahir Hassanov, who is a business outreach manager for the state. He can also put his email. So if you guys, anybody from the businesses needs anything, so he will be the person to connect, and he will navigate them through all of our infrastructure system, and it's a lot. But as you know, as it's a lot of things is going on, so many programs, and we are very happy to support and doing a lot of things to support, people in this situation, when they need to, out of the releasing from their incarceration and so on.
Yeah, it's great. It's very exciting to see all the connections that can be made here just today in this presentation, as well as the participants that we have joined with us. I did see somebody asked in the chat, and I think Lorena just answered that as well, but all of the PowerPoint presentations and contact information, we will run a report at the end, the question and answers, as well as we'll make sure we'll document the chat for all of those contact information that will all be available for our participants and our folks that are listening. So, if we have any other questions for Tarlin, for Catherine, or for Molly. I know we are about 15 minutes early this time. That's a good thing. Gives some folks some time back in their days if they need it. But want to just give an opportunity to ask any final questions. Any final thoughts from our folks today? I do just want to say thank you all so much, Tarlin, Molly, and Catherine for joining us after a big storm as well. I know that a lot of folks have been impacted by the storm yesterday. Just again, want to thank you all for joining us and having some time here to go over your programs. Again, the connections that everyone can make just within this one presentation, I think is going to be really impactful for the folks in our communities. I want to thank our participants as well for joining us. Whatever that looked like for you today, just really appreciate you being here. So we will give 15 minutes, 15 minutes back in our days. I think everyone could probably take that. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you very much. Have a nice one.
Thank you all.
Happy Friday.